On behalf of the Pitt County and the Greene County Farm Bureau Boards of Directors, I'd like to welcome everyone for coming out to our forum tonight. Appreciate the candidates being here and all the people who've come to listen. Want to introduce Mr. Mike Gay, who's president of Greene County Farm Bureau. Yes.
As Luella said, we thank y'all for being here. It's a very busy time of year with farm. See, we all left something that was important, but this is so very important. And looks like we have a fine list of candidates. And we know we got a fine list of voters in Greene County, Pitt County, and down east. And we have issues of our own. We have concerns that don't concern the whole state. So we need representation and the right kind of representation. But first of all, we thank all of those that have come to speak and all that have come to hear. So we hope it'll just be a good meeting.
Please continue to eat. We're going to go ahead and get started. We want to start on time so we can end on time, and I know everybody respects that is here this evening. Again, on behalf of the Pitt County Farm Bureau and Sue Ellen Brock, who is our president, we want to thank you so very, very much for being a part of this tremendous event tonight for agriculture in both Greene County and Pitt County. It is just so overwhelming to see so many of you during a time when farmers need to be in the field. Yet so many of you have chosen to be at this event tonight because it is so important, critical, vital, that we make sure that we put the right person representing us and our needs in the Congress of the United States in the 3rd Congressional District. So thank you again for that. Now, before I make any introductions, let me do this. Those candidates and those individuals that are representing candidates, would you please come forward to the stage at this time, find your seat by the number that you were given during the registration sign-in time. If y'all will do that, because I got a feeling we're going to have a few more of the candidates or the candidates' representatives. Wendy, if you want to go ahead, get your number, and come on and go forward with that. While y'all are doing that, we'd like to make some of the following introductions. And we're very, very pleased to have a large, distinguished list of introductees that we're going to be doing at this time. First of all, we want to have everyone that is a member of the Pitt County or Greene County Farm Bureau Board of Directors. Would you stand at this time? Anyone that's a member of Greene County or Pitt County Farm Bureau Board of Directors, give them a round of applause, y'all. Good job. Thank you very much. And then we want to recognize, we're real excited in Pitt County. We are growing agricultural education and FFA in the public schools. We're growing agriculture everywhere in this county. And we now have 4 agriculture teachers representing 4 different schools. And a lot of you this evening, when you came in and you were at the registration table, you saw those FFA members standing in official jackets, and they're doing a tremendous job for us. So let's make sure we give those young people and those FFA advisors a round of applause. We've got a large group of Farm Bureau representatives that came all the way from Raleigh to be here this evening. It's a distinguished list, and I'm going to recognize each and every one of them. But the first and foremost one that I would like to recognize is this. If you can imagine the agricultural industry, that's the largest industry in the state of North Carolina. If it had an inner sanctum or sanctum of sanctorum of Holy of Holies leadership, and it was only a group of about 5 or 6, this individual would be in that leadership category. And that is the president of the Farm Bureau in the state of North Carolina, Larry Wooten. Larry, we're glad you're here this evening. Also assistant to the president, Peter Daniel. Peter, stand. National Legislative Liaison, Linda Andrews. Linda, thank you so much. She came all the way from Washington, D.C. We appreciate everything that you do. One of these candidates are going to get to know you very well, correct? All right, good job. Jay Boyette, Public Policy with Farm Bureau. Jay? Milo Lewis, who is with Public Policy as well. Milo, stand up just a second. If y'all can look, Milo is bringing the future with her as well. As you can see, she is with child, and we appreciate her so very, very much. And then Sean Harding, who used to be president of the Farm Bureau in Beaufort County. He's now serving in Raleigh as a Farm Bureau public policy individual as well. Sean, where are you? Thank you, Sean, for being here this evening. And then Mac Hodges, who's serving as a dual role. He is our field representative here for Pitt County as well as Greene County. And he's also a member of the Board of Education over in Beaufort County. Thank you, Mac, so very much. There are two individuals that we are really, really always excited about having at any of these events because they make our Farm Bureau very, very special and unique. These two individuals are our insurance managers for Pitt County. One of them is Bill King in the Greenville office. The other is Carlton Venters in the Farmville and Winterville offices. Thank y'all very, very much. If you don't have Farm Bureau insurance, you make sure you see one of them before this evening is over with. And the candidates that will buy Farm Bureau insurance have an advantage. Is that what you said, Carlton? Okay, I just want to double check, make sure.
Yeah, me in there.
Okay, all right. Y'all get you 3 minutes. You can tell them if you're a member or not. Also, we are just so excited to have elected officials with us this evening as well. Serving as Greene County County Commissioners are Jerry Jones and James Shackelford. Would you two guys please stand? We thank y'all very much for being here this evening. And then serving in Pitt County as a county commissioner, my beloved Mary Williams. Where you at, Mary? Thank you, Mary. Mary says she was a Farm Bureau member. That's exactly right. We thank you very, very much. We've got several individuals here representing the Pitt County Extension Service. Leanne Booth, who is the Cooperative Extension Chairman. We thank you. Andy Burlingham, who is our livestock specialist, and also Carrie Ortell, our field crops representative. Okay, let's give them a round of applause as well. I told this gentleman I was going to give him a plug, and I'm going to do so. If you need an event filmed at a very reasonable price, you go see Randy Walker in Washington. He's filming this event tonight, and he's going to make everybody up here look good. Is that right? Okay, thank you, Randy, very much, and we appreciate that. They are the individuals that I had to, wait a minute, I might not quite be through yet. No, I'm not. Okay. Got that one. Doris Cornell, Coordinator, Pitt County Farm and Food Council. Doris, you stand, please. I wrote you down because she really made an effort to get here this evening. We appreciate Doris and all her efforts, and I want to make sure we did that. That's the only other one that I had. Did I miss anybody? If not, I'm very, very sorry about that. We're glad you're here, and we'll make sure that when we have one of these events next time, we'll call your name twice. How about that? All right. Okay, now, we need to give the instructions to our candidates. Now, Mac Hodges has already pulled off one of these events over in Beaufort County, and he wrote the rules for this evening, and he told me, Benji, we're going to do the very same thing in Pitt County that we did in Beaufort County. Now, all of you candidates that were there will understand these rules. I'm going to read these rules to you very quickly. In the interest of time, candidates will be restricted in their introductions to stating their name, where they live, their occupation, and their party affiliation. Number 2, each candidate will be given 3 minutes for their statement. Number 3, our timekeeper is Tim Etheridge. Tim, there you go. Tim, stand up so everybody can see you. Yeah, that's fine. That's good. Come on, stand up. Doesn't he look like a good timekeeper? Okay, he's going to hold up a yellow card when the candidate has 30 seconds remaining. And a red card will be shown when time has expired. We ask that when time is up, candidates finish their sentence and yield the floor. Okay? And then candidates are asked not to address each other during the forum, but to address their remarks to the audience and any questions regarding the procedure to the moderator. Finally, there will be no opportunity for questions from the audience, and we ask that there be no applause or other response to any speaker's remarks. Y'all already applauded out anyway. So we'll just let one candidate get through. They'll sit back down at their designated seat. The next candidate with the next number will get up and follow with that. Okay? Now, before we begin, we've got two other things to do. Number one, have we had any other candidates or any other representatives of candidates to come by the registration table since I've been talking? Any others? Okay. Secondly, we are very, very pleased this evening to have with us Tony McQueen. Tony is the Deputy Director of the Pitt County Board of Elections. And Tony's going to come forward and he's going to explain to you exactly why we are in the position we're in at this particular time with the need to have this special election for the 3rd Congressional District. A lot of you might not have ever seen Tony McQueen before, but I'm going to tell you something. I went and voted today, Tony, and I talked to those ladies that were there at that desk, and I said, you know, you're going to have a representative from Pitt County Board of Elections to come? And they said, yes, he's already been working on his 30-minute speech. So come forward, Tony, and give us the explanation of those events.
It's not going to be 30 minutes. Hello. Basically, the Constitution of the United States is written in such a way that, you know, we've had a lot of questions about why can't we appoint somebody or somebody be appointed. For the Constitution spells out that in this particular case, it has to be a special election. That's why it's been ordered. The April 30th primary will be obviously everybody, and then if somebody has to get 30% in each election. If not, we'll have a runoff in July, and then September will be the official end of it all. Here in Pitt County, we only did the one early voting site. Money is killing us. So we could only do community schools. We'll do those. We're not going to vote any weekend days because of the Easter and everything. It's just kind of, and again, budget-wise, we're strapped. So because we'll be doing this 3 times, and we have municipal in November, and then we have a primary in March. So we got 5 elections literally within 1 calendar year. So the one-stop hours are from 7 to 7 Monday through Friday. They're not open tomorrow, but the rest next week is 7 to 7, and then the election on election day, the 30th, will be 6:30 to 7:30. We will only have 23 precincts open because we are split. We are one of the 17 counties, but the only one that's split. Basically, north of the river is Congressional District 1, and then south of the river is 3. There's a little finger that comes down into western part of Greenville that is part of 1, but we got about 60,000 roughly voters in District 3 in our county. And right now, we're actually, our numbers are, well, everybody's numbers are really, really low for turnout, but we have had the most, but I think we're 2nd or 3rd in voter. How many are in Congressional 3? So that's basically it. I don't have a wealth of information that you don't already know, other than please vote. It's very important. Absentee mail-out ballots, if you can't get to the one-stop site, call our office and request a absentee mail-out ballot and send it back to us, okay? Please vote. Voter ID, that's another question we've had. That's not till next year. There is no ID required this year. It'll be next year. There's more details to come as to when, because you'll be able to get an ID if you don't already have a driver's license or an acceptable ID. You can actually get one from our office. And you don't have to have that coupled with your license. You just can have that issued from our office. But all counties will have that, so. Does anybody have any questions that they don't understand or don't know, or, I mean, it's a low turnout. We're not expecting a heavy turnout in April or July, so. Thank you, and please, if you live in Pitt, any county, but please vote, because it's very important, okay? Thank you very much.
The candidates may begin. Good evening. I am not Dr. Joan Perry. Thankfully, you will be glad to know that. My prayer tonight, as I represent her, that you do not hold me against her, that you would look at her form. But Dr. Joan Perry is a pediatrician from Kinston, North Carolina, has lived there most of her married life, and she's excited about being. I guess we jump right into our opening statement. Dr. Perry has never run for office. She considers herself a political outsider. As you know, these days, it seems that when you get elected to a position, it becomes a profession. We saw in the paper today, thank goodness, that the representative that one of our congressmen had asked to put a blue light bill so that congressmen could drive around the district with a special light so that they could speed or do whatever they need to do, rescinded that bill. But what seems to happen when we send people to Raleigh or to Washington, they tend to focus more on how it benefits them and forget about the folks back home. And Dr. Perry is far from that and is looking forward to being able to represent all of the 3rd District in Washington and to be able to speak with one voice with the folks and the values of the 3rd District. One of the most important things that she feels, if you look at the Republican side, the 17 candidates, all are extremely strong, great folks, and we have a great group of folks to pick from. But we feel like this is a unique time and a unique situation in our country. If you look at the copy of the front page of Rolling Stone magazine and the picture of Nancy Pelosi and AOC and some of these ladies from the Northeast and from California, and the caption read, "Women Shaping America." And she saw that and said, they might be fine folks, but we need to have a counter voice in Washington, a voice with Eastern North Carolina values to be able to speak and to be able to share the concerns here, and so that we are not being defined and led by folks that are far from here. So she looks forward to being able to share her vision as we continue out this process and hopefully into July, and would greatly appreciate you learning more about her, and thank you for this opportunity.
Good evening, I'm Dana Outlaw. I'm mayor of the city of New Bern. I've been on the city council for 14 years now. My family is a family of farmers from Bertie County, the Spruills and the Rascos and the Outlaws, down to the Duplin County, the Whitfields and the Grady's and the Simmons and the Smiths. So all we've ever done is farm. My dad got off the farm and went to World War II and came home and got in city government, and that's why I got involved. My father was city manager of the city of New Bern, and he taught me something that I've taken all through my career as a real estate appraiser for the last 40 years. I've been from Duck, North Carolina to Wilmington doing appraisal, so I know this area pretty good. I went to East Carolina University and got my degree over there. And then I came back and I decided if I could get in business, how could I stay in business? And so I say that to you tonight. How can the American farmer, the North Carolina farmer, stay in business? How can we grow farming? How can we give opportunity to young people to get into farming and encourage them to do it? How can we get rid of that trade agreement? Because it's killing us. Because see, what happened in my business is when threats of lenders and different things, computer systems getting me out of business, and I'm trying to figure out how to stay in business, a little bit different for the American farmer, the North Carolina farmer, because guess what's happening in Brazil right now as we speak? They're building major ports down there. No, the Brazilians aren't doing it. The Chinese are doing it. And so when we do get that tariff lifted, what market are we going to have? Because 50% more agricultural products are going to need to be made by the year 2050. And folks, this food, it doesn't grow in a grocery store at Harris Teeter. It grows in those fertile fields of eastern North Carolina because we have the best climate, the best soil conditions, and we have the best American ingenuity. So my vision for the farmer in eastern North Carolina is branding, is opportunities in new products and new markets, and a leader that will go up there that knows physically the area and knows the people and will fight for you, because that's what I am, is a farming background. I encourage you to think about Dana Outlaw for Congress, because I really do have a plan of how we can continue to brand and keep E-Verify away from keeping us out of business, where we can revise that 2015 Clean Water Act, which the best I can figure was not a congressional thing, it was an environmental thing that changed that. We've got to work smart, we got to work together, and we got to do what I've always done in the city council with the most latest thing, the hurricane. I've always worked across the aisle for the very best. I'm not a party man, I am a people party. Elect Dana Outlaw for Congress. Thank you.
Good afternoon. First, thank you all for inviting me here. I'd like to thank Farm Bureau and Ms. Orr. My name is Ernest Reeves. I'm running for the United States Congress in the 3rd Congressional District. I asked starting on Monday that you will vote for me. I'm asking you for your vote from April the 22nd to April the 26th, and again on April the 30th. Ernest Reeves for United States Congress. I'm a retired United States Army military officer. I spent 20 years on active duty, 9.5 years almost as an enlisted soldier, 6 years as a sergeant. I spent about 6.5 years living outside the United States. I had a great opportunity to serve in a combat zone in the Middle East as a military officer. Prior to retiring, I was selected and nominated for the United States Department of Defense, the Pentagon. There I served as adjutant. I served as junior executive officer to the Office of Administrative Assistant to the Secretary of the Army. Had a great opportunity to be selected to be part of a military actor for What Makes America Great. I was the face of the Army for that. I was also selected to be United States Ambassador Paul Bremer's escort officer to take him to see the President of the United States of America. Both of my grandparents from here, from in Pitt County, they were both farmers. I'm the 12th child. I retired from the military, went to work in corporate America as supervisor of airport operations for World Headquarters United Airlines in Chicago. Chicago Airport this past year is the busiest airport in the world. I did most of my training at Denver International and San Francisco International, and having the opportunity to manage jets costing anywhere from $25 million to $250 million. I really appreciate that opportunity with United Airlines. I am also the former Democratic nominee, and I won the district in 2016. I faced off. The history books would tell you the last Democrat to run against Walter B. Jones. I love Mr. Jones. I like Mr. Jones. When I called him, he took my call when I conceded, and he told me that I did a good job. We ran a very amicable race. And I make one promise to you before I sit down, and I do have to leave for another event. I came from Pamlico just a few minutes ago. I told Ms. Orr I'll be here. I'm here. I'm committed to farmers. I'm committed to making sure that Pitt County and all other farmers. I went to the Washington Bureau the last number of years. Before I go, I want to let you know that should you select me as your candidate, I will do everything I can to make sure that the Farm Bureau stays strong. I look forward to working with you, ma'am. Legislative assistant in Washington, D.C. So thank you very much. God bless you all. And I'm sorry I have to go for another event, try to eat on the way out the door, but thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Wendy Murphy, and I'm here on behalf of Greg Murphy. Who is Greg? He is my husband. He's a father of 3. He's a surgeon, a resident of Greenville now for 25 years. He's a small business owner. He's run his surgical practice here. He has seen patients from the 3rd District and beyond, actually, for the past 25 years, and listened to their concerns and shared their values for this whole time. He, as a small business owner, he has signed both sides of a paycheck. He has been as Pitt County, your 2-term North Carolina House legislator. What are his key politics? He's a constitutional, and by that I mean a Ronald Reagan conservative. He believes we the people, the big writing on the Constitution, aren't just the big words, but are the big concept. He believes in lower taxes, less government, more personal liberty, and certainly more personal responsibility. He is pro-life. He believes that life begins at conception without exception. He believes in the Second Amendment. He believes in a balanced budget. We all have to live under a balanced budget in our homes. We live under a balanced budget in our state. North Carolina has a balanced budget. There are lots of wonderful things on which we can spend our money, but we cannot spend our money on all of them. We must have a balanced budget, and our country needs a balanced budget as well. The $23 trillion deficit is not the legacy we want to pass to our children and grandchildren. He also believes in term limits. It is not his life's goal to be a politician, and he doesn't want to be one for the rest of his life either. He believes that citizens are called to serve, and then they're called to step down and let others serve. Why Greg? As I said, as a small business owner, he has signed both sides of the paycheck. He's seen what overregulation by the government has done to our country, and certainly as a healthcare provider in the healthcare arena with Obamacare and the crisis in our insurance. He has proven record of getting things done in the North Carolina legislature, has worked across the aisle with legislation such as the STOP Act. He is able to guide policy and get things done, and after his first term, he's been chair of the Health Committee. He is a servant and sees this as an extension of service to the people of Eastern North Carolina. You want to elect someone that's just not going up there to cast one vote. You want to go elect someone who can influence others to vote for Eastern North Carolina as well. Thank you very much.
Howdy. I'm Dr. Kevin Bako. It's really a privilege to be here and get a chance to meet you all. Thank you for the fine fixins. We enjoyed that. I do believe that I am the only candidate that features an agricultural product on his campaign logo. It's a cannabis leaf. And to me, this is a symbol for so much more than that. You will not find a more empowering crop than hemp. You can use it as a nutritional source, as a textile source. You can build with it. It's a fuel source, and it's a medicine. And it is a truly empowering medicine at that. I have seen my particular specialty in medicine is medical cannabis or medical marijuana. And I've not only seen the medicinal potential of the plant when government gets out of the way, both at the state level and the federal level, but also the economic potential. And we actually have some pictures. My wife and I have been building a house out of hempcrete over the last several years. So if you want to come and take a look at that, we can share some pictures with you. My overall platform, the thing that I think is most important is to get government out of our lives. I want to rein in the federal government both in terms of policy and in terms of spending. I think this is the most important issue facing Eastern Carolina and our country. Many people ask, what do you want government to do for Eastern Carolina? For me, it's what do I want to stop government doing to Eastern Carolina? We have an unsustainable welfare, warfare state that is driving our currency into oblivion if we keep it on its current course. So my goals are, number one, to rein in regulations, to minimize taxation and spending as much as possible. And so with regards to certain issues like the Farm Bill, I think that it opens up great opportunities to the extent that it gets government out of the way, allowing crops like hemp to be cultivated. That's a great thing. To the extent that it adds a lot of spending, I think the figures are well over, it's approaching 800, is it 800 billion? Anyway, it's quite a lot. So I would in general try to minimize the spending and to minimize regulations, including E-Verify. I don't think E-Verify would serve farmers or serve the general population. Basically, I'm here to be a representative. I'm here to learn from you as well. So please share with me your opinions and your thoughts on these subjects. And I want to be a representative. Walter Jones said, number one, Walter Jones said a lot of good things, and I consider myself a Walter Jones Republican. Thank you so much.
Good evening, folks. My name's Don Cox, and I'm from Beaufort County. I'm a Republican, a real strong conservative, a Jesse Helms type conservative is what I am. And I grew up on a farm. When I was 5 years old and 6 years old, I was on a Cub tractor trucking tobacco and working for my grandfather. And I remained on that farm until he passed away in 1990. And so I have a strong background in farming, and it's really my first love. My grandfather also played music, so that caused me to kind of latch on to music, and we played every Friday night for years and years, and eventually when I got out of high school, I joined a band called the Super Grit Cowboy Band, and we traveled all around the country and had some hit records and met a lot of people. And then I went on my own in 1993, and my grandfather and I, we decided to stop farming in 1990 and went on my own in 1993, and I had some major success in the music business, and ran it like a business, and continued to do that. A few years ago, I decided to get involved in politics because of some of the things I saw in our county that I didn't like that was going on, and a lot of it had to do with the medical system, the Obamacare, and what it was doing to our rural hospitals. So I ran for county commissioner and came up in single digits both times in a recount both times. So be aware I may be in a recount again this time. We don't ever know. But anyway, my daughter and I, a couple of years ago, when Obamacare was up for repeal, she and I went out and we went to the congressmen's, we went to Washington, D.C. and went and visited with a bunch of the congressmen out there and beat on their doors and begged them to repeal, but they didn't. And now we're saturated in that. I hope that if I am elected, I hope to try to really get the government out of our medical system. That's one of the things, because if you look up here, we've got a bunch of doctors that are running for this seat this year, and we've got a bunch of politicians too that are running that have promised us they're going to deregulate on our fisheries and our farmers. They haven't done it. I plan on doing that. Our motto and our slogan is taking the country back, because I believe we've let it slip away. So if you will, vote Don Cox and let's take this country back. Thank y'all so much.
Good evening, Farm Bureau. We'll start off with a couple of housekeeping notes. For Pitt County, if you would really like to save yourself money in this election cycle, if you all go vote on the Libertarian ballot, you can avoid that Republican runoff. My name is Tim Harris, and I'm a Libertarian, and I'm standing here asking for your vote. And the reason I'm asking for your vote is because we need to have the one thing that nobody else up here is talking about, except for my friend Dr. Bako, more freedom. I'm not going to stand here and tell you about where I've been. I'm up here to talk about where we're going. I'm up here to talk about the future of this country, the future of this district, and the future of all of the people sitting here and these children that are here. What kind of future are we going to leave for them? Do we want a future that has more peace, or do we want a future that has less peace? Do we want a future where we spend more and tax more, or a future where we do both of those less? Do we want a future with more wars or less wars? Because the choice is up to you. That choice is not an easy choice to make, although it seems like it is. The choices that we have been making at the polls for decades have led us to where we are today. And it's about time that we start making some changes. We can stand up here at one event after another, and the people of this district can pick an apple and shiny up that apple, and we can send it up to Washington. And what we're going to do is we're going to throw it in a big, fetid, putrid barrel full of bad apples. How long is it going to take before that apple starts turning rotten too? That's what's been happening with the traditional two-party system that we have going on here. My party, we don't have a barrel. So you send this apple up here, it's going to sit on the desk. Stay shiny. As I said, this election is about freedoms. This election is about liberty. This election is about fiscal responsibility. We have a lot of people who will stand and talk about fiscal responsibility, but those same people, when pushed on their votes, some of those people who are legislators, for example, here in the state, when pushed on their votes, will claim, well, the party leadership made me. Well, if you let the party leadership make you once, you're going to let them do it again. We must have legislators in the Congress who understand that their job is to stand for us. Their job is not to work for their party. Their job is not to work for their re-elections. We have people who claim that they're for term limits, but then will turn around and say, if we don't have a term limit law, I'm not going to self-limit. Well, do you have a term limit principle or not? I do stand for term limits, and I will self-limit. We need to have legislators who understand we work for you. Thank you.
Anybody want to stand up and stretch? Wake up? Whew. Sorry. Hi, my name is Celeste Cairns. I live in Carteret County. I appreciate you being here. I know you're here because you care about this nation, this state, and this district. I am not a traditional candidate at all. I've never been a politician. I am a conservative woman, and I look forward to being sworn in by Nancy Pelosi. It won't be her best day because we couldn't be any more different. My professional background is in accounting. I practiced as a CPA for many years, and I saw from that experience what tax policies and regulations do to job creators and even farmers on the ground. My faith informs my conservative social issues. I am a pro-life advocate. I want y'all to know that. I serve on the board of the Onslow Pregnancy Resource Center, and I've done that for the last 3 years. It is something that's important to me, this ministry, and I would ask you to get involved. I'm proud of this district's agricultural heritage. It's a wonderful thing. I think sometimes we take for granted how our food gets to the table, and sometimes leaders don't appreciate what goes into that. And we see them implementing policies or trying to, like the Green New Deal, that will absolutely destroy what you're trying to do. Know that even though my grandparents were farmers and my father then was raised on a farm, I don't have that background and I don't claim to understand all the farming industry at all. So know that I would rely on you and I would want to learn from you and I will listen to you to understand fully what the needs are in the farming community. You're going to hear my ads probably, if you haven't already, you will. I am strong on border security. I want to absolutely shut the border down. We had 92,000 people interdicted on this last month. That is a crisis. It just is. But I do understand that the immigration debate goes much further than that and affects you guys with some significance. And I would say that both parties, when they have been in charge, have failed miserably to deal with our immigration system. And I will do my best to help you get your worker visa program streamlined and simplified and deal with things like the dramatic ups and downs of the wages that you have to pay with the H1, excuse me, H2A rates. I have 30 seconds. The Farm Bill is quite large, but as I understand it, 80% or so has nothing to do with farming. So let's don't blame the Farm Bill for our high spending. I would be absolutely trying to reduce regulations. I mean, we see these agencies, I'm going to hush, what are effectively laws. I mean, basically Congress should be passing these laws, but instead we have these regulations that come down from agencies. Okay, I'll go. Thank you. I'm blessed to be on this path. Please consider supporting me, Celeste Cairns. Thank you.
Have any other candidates or their representatives come since these candidates have been sharing their thoughts? Anybody else? Okay. I have 3 letters from 3 candidates who could not come tonight. I will read those, and then at that time we'll be turning it back over to our president of the Farm Bureau, Sue Ellen Brock, for any closing comments she'd like to make, and sending us on our way. The first letter is from Gary Series. I want to thank the Farm Bureau for extending an invitation to me tonight, and I apologize that I cannot be with you, but I was previously committed to attend the Crystal Coast Republican Men's Club Forum in Morehead City. I would like to also thank the Farm Bureau for standing up for the hardworking men and women in the farm industry here in North Carolina. I'm a working class individual that understands the hard work involved in making this country work. That includes the important work that our farmers do for our nation, our state, and our district. But I do not like to speak to platitudes and talking points. I like to tell people what I intend to do. Eastern North Carolina farmers have been under assault in our state from many different angles, from dumping of products from foreign competitors to overregulation of frivolous lawsuits against our hog farmers. The farming industry is under assault. If elected, I intend to be a regulatory hawk in Washington, D.C., and will seek to identify and legislate out of existence regulations that hamper the expansion of our farming and fishing industries. We need to rein in the regulatory ability of government agency to regulate our farms out of existence with the insanity over overregulation. I also intend to offer a federal right to farm law that will protect our farms from being sued, particularly our hog farms, which have been reduced to only 2,300 or so in the past few years. Such legislation would prevent lawsuits that have bankrupt hog farmers and put our working class farm workers out of jobs. Our farmers are the backbone of our economy, and their livelihoods are not being protected enough on the state level, so we need to take federal action to protect private property rights and the right to earn a living. In addition, I support bilateral trade agreements, such as that one proposed by the President, that will seek to level the playing field for our farmers and fishermen. We need to make sure that we do not agree to and implement trade deals that limit our access to foreign markets while opening our own to dumping. While we want free trade, it must be fair trade that treats our farmers and farm workers fairly. Once again, I want to thank you for what you do, and I would humbly ask you to visit my Facebook page at Series for Congress or my website, www.seriesforcongress.com, and ask you to consider voting for me on April the 30th. Our next one is from Representative Michael Spicielli. he just has different items that he wanted to make note of. Labor. The program which allows farm workers to come here to work must be such that it is not difficult to recruit workers and get them to the areas needed. I do support efforts to allow farmers access to a worker program that is easy to implement in order to get the needed help. The Farm Bill. I will have to look at the programs in order to determine what my positions would be, but I would in no case put our farmers in a bad financial situation due to support or lack of support of existing programs. I intend to look closer at what programs are being implemented, and I will contact local folks for information on how these programs affect them personally. Regulatory reform. I do not support the waters of the U.S. rules and definitions. I intend to do what we have successfully done in North Carolina, and that is to get reduction in the number of rules by requiring that they be reviewed every few years. This has reduced North Carolina rules by the thousands, and it has kept the bureaucracy from wanting to implement unnecessary rules that will add to their review process. Based on my knowledge of the Clean Water Act, I support the clear rules revision. And then finally, trade. All trade agreements should be fair to American trade and ideally without tariffs and other barriers. Free trade should be just that, free in both directions. And then our final letter is from the final candidate that will be represented here this evening unless anybody else or anybody's representative has come in. I still don't see one. Our last one then is from Greg Holt. He says this: sorry I'm not here to comment on mine and the Constitution Party's views. I am the Constitution candidate in the 3rd District in North Carolina. My name is Greg Holt. I am 66 and a small business owner here in eastern North Carolina for 25 years. I am very proud to represent my party's values, and I know my values came from a farm girl who grew up in Sanford, North Carolina during the Depression, picking cotton, her hands sore and bleeding, along with her 6 siblings. She left us in December of 2018 at the age of 94. I spent lots of time on the farm as well as a child, walking down the hill and carrying spring water back to the house. Flat wood, cooked stove, breakfast. To this day, none better. Honestly, I do not miss the outhouse or the priming tobacco. I'm not a professional politician and am not a professional speaker, just a simple private citizen. I do commit to the farmers that I will work to get their needs met, to get workers here to process the crops. I'm no farm expert, but I will develop ideas with local farmers over the next several months and investigate your issues. I will put my plans out before the general election. The farm families need to know my thoughts. Make it simpler, less costly. Make sure we are selling our goods on a level world platform. Like you, I love our country, and I'm tired of seeing our Christian values and farm values being destroyed and more concerns about other countries before our country. Our country should be the priority. I pray that we get back on track and know it is in God's hands. Thank you again for your support and for your farm values. You are the backbone of our district and our country. God bless you. Sincerely, Greg Holt. Ladies and gentlemen, they are the candidates that came tonight to represent themselves or represent the candidates that they have endorsed themselves. These are other candidates that have, because they could not come tonight, sent those letters about themselves. Let's give each and every one of them a round of applause. And now we'll ask Miss Sue Ellen Brock, if she would, to come forward for our closing. Sue Ellen's everywhere. She was over there a while ago. She's up here now.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest. I would like to say before we close, I would especially like to thank all of the candidates for being here tonight. We appreciate your attendance. We also appreciate your desire to represent our district. It is vitally important to all of us, and we recognize the effort that it takes to run this campaign, and thank you. Thank you very much.
Give them another round of applause.
I would also like to say a thank you to all of our elected officials who came tonight, the Ag Extension Service representatives who are here, the FFA students who helped us, and the teachers that were with them. I'd also like to recognize our young farmers and ranchers that helped with the check-in, Mr. Tony McQueen, who was here from the Board of Elections, as well as all of the Board of Directors from Pitt and Greene County. Thank you all for all of your work. A special thank you, though, to those people who traveled here from Raleigh. We are quite honored to have our North Carolina Farm Bureau representatives here, and we really appreciate y'all's attendance. We are especially honored, though, to have President Larry Wooten here. Mr. Wooten, I would like to call you up to the stage, if you would, please, to just say a few words for us.
Well, thank you very much, Sue Ellen. It's certainly my pleasure to be here tonight, and all of us representing the North Carolina Farm Bureau and our staff. I too want to congratulate and thank all these candidates for serving, for offering themselves to serve in the United States Congress and to running. Folks, it is a thankless job, as many of you know, and so I want to thank each of them, and we wish them the very best of luck. Also, I want to thank the Pitt County, the Greene County Farm Bureau for hosting this event tonight. You know, in 1936, farm leaders from Pitt and Greene County came together here in Greenville, in Pitt County, and chartered the North Carolina Farm Bureau. This is the first county farm bureau that was chartered, and since then, we have grown to the largest farm organization in this state, and certainly the largest farm organization in the country. And it's because of people like you who are in attendance tonight, our volunteers, our Farm Bureau members, who have continued to make Farm Bureau the organization that represents farmers and rural communities in this state and nation. I can't thank you enough for being here tonight. Legislative activity. Farm Bureau was chartered. Our core mission is legislative representation of farmers and ranchers all across this country. And certainly it's important that we have events like this as the premier farm organization in the state, have events like this to see who is best suited to represent us. So I thank all of you for being here tonight to visit with the candidates in this special election in the 3rd District here. Thank you very much, and we wish all of you a happy Easter and the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, President William. I do have just a few more people that I need to thank. A special thanks goes to Ms. Deborah Orr and Mr. Mac Hodges for helping put this program together. We would not have been able to do it without you. And I also would like to thank Mr. Tim Etheridge and Mr. Benji Forrest for their running of the program tonight. Thank you both so much. Now that we have heard from everyone tonight, we certainly hope that this process has been enlightening, has helped in your process for making your decisions. Keep in mind, voting is very important. You can do early voting Monday through Friday, I believe Mr. McQueen said, from 7 to 7 at the only site that is open right now is the Alice King Park early voting site in Pitt County. And election day is April 30th, 6:30 to 7:30. Please, please go vote. It is very important. Thank you for your attendance here tonight. We appreciate all of you coming out, and may the best candidate win.